Sarah Mitchell sat alone at a corner table in a small Italian restaurant on the outskirts of San Diego. The evening crowd was thin, just a few couples scattered across the room and a family near the window. She chose this spot deliberately, with careful observation and strategic planning. Back to the wall, clear view of the exits. The waitress brought her order. Sarah thanked her quietly, seeking a rare moment of normalcy. At 34, she had recently completed her final deployment. Transitioning back felt strange and uncomfortable. Solitude had a way of amplifying the memories she was trying to quiet. This meal was an escape. The pasta was good, the sauce rich with garlic and herbs. She ate slowly, savoring the simple pleasure. Her mind wandered to the apartment she'd just rented. Boxes needed unpacking, furniture needed arranging. These were the rhythms of ordinary life, the kind Sarah had protected from thousands of miles away. The family by the window was convincing their youngest to eat, a scene of peace she rarely experienced. Then the front door opened with more force than necessary. 3 men entered, disrupting the peace. Sarah's trained instincts kicked in automatically. 2 tall and muscular, the third shorter but stocky. Their movements suggested alcohol. Their voices carried across the restaurant louder than appropriate. One of the men waved off the young hostess. They weren't interested in a table, only the bar. Sarah watched as they ordered, their crude language causing the nearby family to glance over with concern. Years of training made vigilance automatic. She noticed when one of them looked in her direction. She noticed the lingering gaze, the nudge to his companion. She saw the predatory quality in their shift. The waitress returned, asking if everything was okay. Her eyes flickered nervously toward the disruption. Sarah kept her tone light, but her instincts were sending subtle warnings. Dangerous situations were her specialty. This was America, not a war zone. She had every right to finish her meal in peace. The manager tried to intervene. He was met with exaggerated innocence and more mocking laughter. The brief intervention failed. Within minutes they were louder. And then one of them stood up. He didn't head for the restroom. He didn't head for the exit. He came straight for her. "Hey there, beautiful," he slurred. "Why's a pretty girl like you eating all alone?" Sarah dismissed him clearly. In her experience, most take the hint. But this man wasn't most people. "I wasn't asking for permission," he said. "I'm being friendly. You should appreciate that." The restaurant watched. Sarah remained seated, her hands visible, her posture a picture of relaxed certainty. "I'm going to ask you once more," she said. "Please leave me alone and return to your friends." "You think you're too good for me?" he hissed. The smell of beer was thick. The air turned cold. The situation was escalating, and Sarah Mitchell knew exactly how to handle an escalation.
The Mitchell Standard? Tonight? The geometry of conflict? Sometimes the most dangerous weapon in a room isn't a gun. It's a calculated response. It started as a common disturbance. A manager out of his depth, trying to maintain order against a force that respects only strength. While Marcus mocked the old man, Sarah Martinez remained still. She wasn't just waiting, she was calculating. Distances, angles, response times. In her mind, the room was a map of variables. The manager was positioned poorly, too close to Marcus. The third man at the bar was a wild card. The math was simple. "Police? For what?" Marcus demanded. His aggression was a performance designed to dominate, but Sarah's voice remained a constant, calm and measured. The moment Marcus grabbed the manager's wrist, the line was crossed. Harassment became assault. The tactical equation shifted instantly. The friendly civilian was gone. In her place stood a practitioner of minimum necessary force. "Let him go," she said. The tone was a warning. The man with the neck tattoo thought his size was an advantage. He was amped on adrenaline and ego, a dangerous, unpredictable cocktail. She saw it all. His dilated pupils, his elevated breathing. She wasn't fighting a man. She was neutralizing a set of biological impulses. "Tell them to send an ambulance," she told the manager. It wasn't a threat. It was a professional assessment of the outcome Marcus had chosen. Marcus acted out of anger, his momentum carrying him forward. Sarah didn't fight his strength. She redirected his energy, the geometry of movement, surgical precision, a strike to the pressure point on the inside of the arm, instant numbness, the nervous system overwhelmed by technical calculation, a foot sweep, a shoulder push. The whole exchange took less than 3 seconds. The room went silent. The predator had become the casualty. Sarah offered them a choice. Walk away now. The stocky man had the sense to take it. He saw the shift. He felt the change in the air. But pride is a heavy burden. The neck tattoo man lunged, choosing conflict over survival. He was about to learn the difference between raw power and disciplined intelligence. In the end, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about understanding the physics of the threat. Informed courage isn't just a mindset, it's a methodology. She didn't want trouble, she just wanted to finish her meal. But she was prepared for the alternative. That is the Mitchell Standard. Join us next time for more insights into the science of survival. I'm your investigator. Stay sharp, stay safe.
Sarah's response was immediate and devastating. As the man with the neck tattoo lunged forward, she dropped her center of gravity and pivoted. His hands grasped at air. Using his forward momentum, Sarah grabbed his extended arm, controlling his wrist and elbow simultaneously. In one fluid motion, she twisted his arm and stepped under it, applying leverage that forced him to bend forward or risk a dislocated shoulder. The man tried to resist, but physics wasn't on his side. Sarah drove her elbow into his ribcage, forcing the air from his lungs. She could have stopped there, but her training had taught her that half measures in combat got people killed. So she followed through, sweeping his legs out from under him while maintaining absolute control of his arm. He went down face first. Sarah kept him pinned, one knee pressed into his back. His struggles were weak and instinctive. "Stay down," she said. Her voice carried across the silent restaurant, leaving no room for argument. Marcus struggled back to his feet, rage replacing his swagger. He reached for his phone, shouting that she was going to jail. Sarah remained calm. "Make sure you tell the police you attacked me first," she said. "The witnesses will be happy to confirm that." Marcus looked around. Everyone was watching. The manager, the diners, everyone had their phones out, recording the truth. The elderly couple nodded in agreement. The manager found his voice, confirming that Marcus had laid hands on him first. The third man, a stocky figure who had stayed back, didn't wait. He pushed through the exit and disappeared into the night. Marcus's face cycled through anger and confusion before finally settling on fear. His earlier bravado had completely evaporated. "Sit down," Sarah ordered. "Put your hands on the table. If you move before the police arrive, you'll end up on the floor." The authority in her voice left no room for argument. Marcus sat, defeated. He looked young suddenly, scared, out of his depth. Sarah stood her ground, her breathing steady. The adrenaline that flooded her system was something she had managed for years. Sirens cut through the night. Multiple police cars arrived, their lights painting the diner in alternating red and blue. Officers entered, assessing the scene. They saw the man on the floor, the defeated Marcus, and Sarah standing calmly. Officer Rodriguez asked where she learned to fight like that. Sarah met her gaze steadily and spoke the truth. "I served in the United States Navy," she said. "Special operations. I'm a Navy SEAL." The facts spoke for themselves.
Officer Rodriguez conducted the interview personally. Sarah, a veteran recently transitioned to civilian life, explained why she was at that restaurant. 3 men entered, disruptive, harassing. Sarah recognized the pattern: men who don't respect boundaries, who escalate when they don't get what they want. When harassment turned to assault, Sarah stepped in. Marcus tried to grab her. She defended herself using minimum necessary force to neutralize the threat. "Minimum force?" Rodriguez asked, noting the attacker's injuries. Sarah's response was cold. "My training made me less dangerous, not more." It allowed for precision instead of panic. But the officer was honest. The district attorney would make the final call on charges. Prosecution for self-defense felt absurd and terrifying. "You were very brave," a witness whispered. The manager thanked her. Yet outside in her car, her hands, steady during the fight, finally started to shake. This was the price of preparation. She couldn't unlearn the skills. She would always see the threats others missed, always ready for violence while seeking peace. In a world that judges the protector, Sarah stands at the intersection of duty and consequence. This is the ground report. Sarah drove home on autopilot, her mind replaying the incident in fragments. Not with regret, but with analytical detachment. She had done everything right from a tactical standpoint, tried to de-escalate, used minimum force, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that she had failed. Failed to blend in, failed to be normal, failed to have a simple dinner without her past catching up to her present. Old habits reasserting themselves, clear the parking lot, check the stairwells. The military might have been done with her, but she wasn't done with them. Inside, boxes still lined the walls, half unpacked. Everything felt temporary, as if she didn't believe civilian life would actually stick. In the mirror, she looked the same. Gray eyes that had seen too much and couldn't forget any of it. The men had never landed a single hit. She stood under the hot water until it ran cold, trying to wash away the feeling of being constantly at war even in peacetime. Then, a voicemail from a lawyer named David Chen. Ms. Mitchell, I work with a lot of veterans. I understand the unique challenges you face. Rodriguez had been right. She needed a lawyer. Violent criminals often try to cash in on their own bad decisions by suing their victims. She sat in the darkness and let herself feel the weight of 12 years in the teams. 12 years of being the best at something that made her incompatible with civilian life. A text from Officer Rodriguez arrived. Your actions tonight likely prevented a much worse situation. Thank you for your service. It should have felt like vindication, but instead it felt hollow. It wouldn't bridge the gap between who she had been and who she was supposed to become. She unpacked one box, kitchen supplies, normal things for normal people, creating order from chaos just as she'd been trained to do. Sleep was fitful, full of dreams that mixed past and present. She woke multiple times, reaching for weapons that weren't there. Morning arrived gray and cold. She got up at 500, a habit she couldn't break, and ran until her lungs burned. She dressed carefully, business casual. She wanted to look like a responsible citizen, not a trained killer, though the two weren't mutually exclusive. David Chen's office was practical. He was younger than expected, with sharp eyes and a firm, non-aggressive handshake. I reviewed the reports, Chen said. Video evidence and witness statements show a clear pattern of escalation by the aggressors. But Brennan's injuries are significant. His lawyer could argue excessive force. We must prepare as if charges will be filed. Why would this become news? She asked. Chen looked at her. Female Navy SEAL defeats 3 attackers? That's a story, Ms. Mitchell. She had spent 12 years operating in the shadows. The idea of her story being analyzed by people who never understood combat felt like another violation. We control the narrative, Chen said. Emphasize your restraint. Make it clear you're a hero, not a vigilante. Sarah shook her head. I'm not a hero, I just defended myself. Chen said softly, that's exactly what makes you a hero to a lot of people. She had spent her life preparing for the worst. Now she had to learn how to live through the morning.
The meeting with David Chen lasted another hour. Every detail was dissected, every second scrutinized. Sarah Mitchell realized that in her world, details saved lives. Now, they were the only things that might save her freedom. By noon, she was back on the sidewalk. A soldier without a mission. No job, no schedule. The unstructured time felt more threatening than the 3 men in the restaurant had the night before. She found a corner in a trendy cafe. The barista was cheerful, chattering about the weather. It was such a normal, mundane slice of civilian life that Sarah felt tears prick at her eyes unexpectedly. Then she searched for the news. It took only seconds. The media had their headline, Navy SEAL Veteran Defends Self. Factual, yes, but the drama they injected felt like a weight she wasn't ready to carry. The comments were a different kind of battlefield. Hundreds weighed in. Some called her an inspiration. Others questioned if she was a danger to the very society she had once protected. One comment caught her attention. People like her never really leave the battlefield. She's probably got PTSD and just snapped. Sarah set the phone down. Her coffee had already gone lukewarm. She had been prepared for death, for the physical stress of combat. But she hadn't been prepared for this. A society that simultaneously worships and fears the veterans it creates. A text from Officer Rodriguez broke the silence. The news crews were circling. The quiet moment in the cafe was over. The story was out, and it was growing teeth. She called her lawyer, David Chen. "I want it to go away," she told him. But Chen knew the reality. "We control the narrative now," he warned. "Or the narrative will control you." By the time she reached the police station, the circus had arrived. Reporters stood in clusters, cameras ready, waiting for a lethal combat veteran to give them their next big headline. The questions came rapid fire. Was it excessive force? Are you a hero or a vigilante? Sarah didn't give them a word. She kept her pace steady until she reached the safety of the station lobby. Inside, Officer Rodriguez had a different story. The men had patterns: DUIs, bar fights, restraining orders. Sarah wasn't the first woman they'd harassed. She was just the first one who could defend herself. Rodriguez led her to the back, a quiet alleyway to avoid the cameras. "Thank you for your service," the officer said. Sarah walked into the sun, a hero to some, a monster to others, and a stranger to herself. Because the battlefield doesn't end when the deployment does. It just changes shape. This has been the Ground Report. Good night.